history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you... All right, who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
House is...
You haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay, drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car.
It's truly for the win.
So there was 2 different discs, okay? They all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight.
Come with a
for 2
knockout
hours.
punch tonight.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Welcome to the transparency. Well. Pay me. TKO. Tonight is TKO. Tonight is legit. This is a knockout punch. This is... You can't... This is no longer just circumstantial evidence. This is 100% physical evidence. This is eyewitness statements. This is surveillance cameras that are putting people in spots that are corroborating what other eyewitnesses who have no affiliation with those people to say. And what I have here today is truly a TKO on everything that Jennifer Drake has said, as well as Eldora Gatchell. It's not just Jennifer Drake, it's Eldora Gatchell. Both. This episode is what's the old saying? One stone taking down 2 birds. That's what's about to happen right here. An ISP buried it. Bonners Ferry buried it. Boundary County, Bonner County, y'all buried this shit. The sheriffs, the Boundary County Sheriff's Department buried this shit. Y'all involved in this shit. It's deep. Now, what I have here is a 9-minute interview that you're going to hear from the eyewitness, which is Isaac Funderburg's fiance. Then what I have here is Eldora Gatchell's typed up, outlined, and it's all her first interview that she gave on March 16th, 2020. And she didn't give the interview alone. She was accompanied by her brother, her niece, her husband, and herself. Have you ever heard of such a thing? And you're going to see Dwayne Fish in his corroborating statements, that go with everything that you're going to hear by two birds with one stone. There it is. Yeah, we got it tonight. Here we go.
All right, today is Friday, March 13th, 2020. By my watch, it is approximately 13:50. We are here at 6613 Main Street, Bonners Ferry, Idaho. We are in the second floor apartment on the west side of Highway 2 in Mr. Isaac Spain Ireland's home and Miss Aaliyah Sandalin, thank you, home. We're here with Miss Aaliyah Sandalin. I'm Idaho State Police Detective Richard Alderson. With me,
Detective Leslie Lyman. Aaliyah Sandalin.
all right, do you mind if I call you Miss Aaliyah?
No, that's good.
Miss Lee, if you will, if you can just starting on Thursday, March 12th, approximately 18:30, or sorry, 6:30, my apologies. Start around 6:30 and just kind of fill us in on what you observed.
Okay, so 6:30, we were sitting on our couch watching some TV, and on the south side of us is the Les Schwab building. There was a vehicle that was parked behind cars that were parked correctly in the parking lot. There was a person that was getting in and out of their car for a little while, and so I asked my fiance if he thought it was weird, and he just got up and looked, and then after that they left. Later on, about 7:30ish, there was a gunshot when I was cooking dinner, and my fiance was outside putting license plates on my car that I'd just gotten.
Approximately how much later was that?
Which part?
From the time you saw it till when you were cooking. So about
About
what
an
time
hour.
was it? About an hour?
So it was about an hour. The gunshot went off, and I ran outside to make sure my fiance was okay, and I yelled at him and said, "Are you okay?" And he peeked around the corner from my vehicle at the end of the building. And he said, "Yeah." And then we both looked over kind of as he was walking towards me. I was on the porch, and he was below the porch on the pathway. Then we both looked over, and there was this man that was going between two buildings on a little pathway that led up to a parking lot.
So would you mind, when you looked over, can you explain exactly where you were looking over at?
I was on the porch, so I was up a little higher so I could see. And I looked over towards, it's an old dentist office building that's right next to the Far North coffee shop. And he was coming from behind the building and going towards a glass shop building and like walking along it. And then at that point, when we had seen him step out onto the concrete, my fiance yelled at him and he said, "Hey." And then he said, "Was that you?" And he didn't reply. And then he said, "What are you doing?" And the man replied and said nothing. At that point, he had like reached his left hand up to kind of like peek his hoodie back just a little bit to see who was looking at him and talking to him. And then after that, he kind of just walked really fast up through the wood shop building and the glass building. And then at that point, my fiance had told me to let the dogs out. And so I let the dogs out, and he was going to go try and take a picture of the man to show the police if it was something suspicious.
Okay, and if you will, let's back up to when you initially see the figure behind the former dentist's office. Can you describe clothing, body type, etc.?
It was a little heavier set. He was wearing black sweatpants and I thought it was kind of a silky jacket. I'm not quite sure on that, but he did have a beanie on. I know that for sure. But he like I think he had his hoodie on.
Right.
But don't quote me. And he like peeked it back because I saw him pull it back to look over his shoulder to see me and Isaac. And then that's when he kind of just looked back at his direction that he was going and went around.
And you said, what color was the jacket?
It was black.
Black. So black jacket, black sweats, footwear?
I didn't see anything. Okay. It was dark. It wasn't like you noticed anything light.
Right.
Like it was black.
And you said the head
beanie?
Beanie?
Yeah.
hands?
I couldn't see his right hand. The only hand that I saw was his left hand when he pulled back his hoodie.
Right. Any description of his face?
When I looked at him, he looked like he had a beard.
Okay.
To me, that's all I saw because I wasn't where my fiance was, standing where you could see his face better. So.
Okay. Did it appear that he had any objects in his hand, in his possession?
His right hand wasn't moving a whole lot, so it was like kind of like his left hand was kind of just hanging before he pulled up his hoodie, and then his right hand was just kind of sitting there. So.
Okay. You had mentioned that, and let me back up. What do you estimate the distance was from where you were at the porch and when you saw him pull his hoodie back?
Probably about 30 yards.
30 yards?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much time did he have the hoodie back where you were able actually to look at him?
Probably about 5-6 seconds.
Okay.
Maybe a little longer.
What was it? Describe for me again in detail. What was it about him in particular that made that instance suspicious?
Well, after I heard the gunshot, and he was like jogging like a little bit faster than jogging like out of the bushes from behind the building, and to me that doesn't seem right because nobody ever walks behind there, and nobody runs out from behind a building. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just. And then he didn't say anything. Was that you? He didn't even acknowledge that there was a gunshot or anything.
Right.
Like, you know, people would be scared and be like, what's going on? They wouldn't run. They would just stand still.
And how soon after the gunshot from the time when you saw him?
Probably about 10-20 seconds,
Okay.
maybe, because I ran outside.
And no, you didn't see anybody else?
No, maybe it was from when my fiance got back from the store, I believe.
Now this is motherfucking beautiful. It wasn't until my husband, fiance, got back from the store. Okay. Back from the store. Remember Steve Hartman, the guy that was, walking, and he said that he ran into a guy with his German shepherds and he was carrying something into the, apartment. Like I told y'all, people carry stuff into you carry your bags and after you go to the grocery store. But if that was in fact true, then the time is going to be blown up because that would mean that Isaac Funderburg had already went to the store. Okay. Here we go.
There's this gentleman that was just walking down the street, but I don't think
Right.
people would be scared and be like, what's going on? They wouldn't run. They would just stand still.
And how soon after the gunshot from the time when you saw him?
Probably about 10-20 seconds,
Okay.
maybe, because I ran outside.
And no, you didn't see anybody else?
No, maybe it was from when my fiance got back from the store, I believe. There's this gentleman that was just walking down the street, but I don't think he's anything to do with it. But he said he didn't even hear the gunshots.
Okay. And he was just walking down the street?
He was just walking down the sidewalk next to our building.
Okay. About how long after the actual shot?
Half an hour, maybe.
Woohoo!
So we're going in between buildings.
There it is. Oh, so the guy that you saw, that was just walking after the fact, how long ago was that after the shooting? Or the gunshots that you heard? Oh, about 30 minutes. Steve Hartman is on the surveillance cameras at Liberty. Okay? At 7:35 in 14 seconds. From walking up to so here's Isaac Funderburg's apartment. He already talked to both of these two people. Well, Isaac Funderburg mainly. She just happened to see it. And after he walks past, this is where Drake's building is, and Isaac lives right across the street. He's on the same side. So he continues to walk. Here's the Liberty gas station right after it. He is on the Liberty gas station at 7:35 in 14 seconds. Which means that he's had this conversation with Isaac Funderburg after Isaac Funderburg already had returned from Super One. And also 30 minutes, she estimated that this was after the gunshots, because what you're going to hear her say right now is that um I'll let her say it, and then I don't want to blow up her.
And stuff.
Okay. And he just asked him that because he just
He just
happened
said, "Did you hear that?" And he I think it was from when my fiance got back from the store, I believe. He's asked. There's this gentleman that was just walking down the street, but I don't think he's had anything to do with it. But he said he didn't even hear the gunshots.
Okay. And he was just walking down the street?
He was just walking down the sidewalk next to our building.
Okay. About how long after the actual shot?
Half an hour, maybe.
Okay.
It was when all the cops were going in between buildings and looking and stuff.
Okay. And he just asked him that because he just
He
happened
just
to be-
said, "Did you hear that?" And he I think he had earbuds in. He
Okay.
so I,
Right. So then, after your husband, you let the dogs out, the husband,
he literally took his car and tried to find him and take a picture of him
okay, and
in case he was suspicious or
Okay.
something.
and what are you doing? What are you doing during this time?
I was going back to cooking hamburgers.
Yummy.
Yeah.
And then your husband comes, or excuse me, your fiance comes back.
Yeah.
And any other interactions with the cop? Any other suspicious?
After he came back from the store, no, it was while he was at the store, the police officer drove up to me and was like, "Hey, were you the one that called?" I was like, "No, that was my fiance." And I told him the story and what we'd seen and everything. And he was like, "Okay." And then he had a call from somebody else, one of the other cops, that he had to go. So,
Right.
and then they came back a couple other times. And so we told our story. And then Mr. Watson, I believe it's the sheriff, he came into my house after they had him over there, he's
Sure.
still over there.
Sheriff Kramer or Deputy Watson?
I don't know. I know it's his.
Sheriff
I didn't
Kramer.
catch his name. He was wearing green.
It might have been a deputy.
Okay.
The sheriff is Sheriff Kramer. But,
It's McClellan.
okay, Watson, you said his last name was?
No, it's
Wow.
McClellan.
What?
Caleb. Yeah. It was,
Oh, Caleb.
yeah.
Red hair, ginger.
Yeah, I know Caleb. So
Okay.
it's.
And you said he showed you pictures or was that?
This morning about 7:30, he showed me pictures
Woo!
of what they had found and that they had thought that was him.
Okay.
And that's about it. And then later that he forgot to have me sign it, so he came back later today around
To get that search warrant.
like 10:40 something. But he had me sign it, date it, and put the time that I saw it this morning.
Okay. I
But just-
said, push out your husband. Do you have any knowledge of who works in that building?
No, I don't.
Do you know the
I didn't
victim?
even know that anybody was in there.
Okay. So you don't know the victim?
No.
No relationship with anybody, business owner, anything, any knowledge of any local grudges, local pits, anything pointing in gangs, anything that would point
No,
to the
I know that
violence?
when it was a dentist office, my grandma used to go there, but that's about it.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Nothing else for me.
Okay. With that, we will stop the tape. By my watch, it is.
Well, thank you so much for that. All right, bottom line is that if Isaac Funderburg already went to the store and came back, and that's actually when he's talked to a homeboy, which would be around 7:30. Let's just say 7:30. He had already went to the store because he, as you heard, this shooting and everything that had happened, she said that it would have been at least 30 minutes before talking to this guy, which puts it at 7. Okay. And this would then be consistent with Dwayne Fish, who said that Brenner Drake, number 5, Fish stated he received a phone call from Brenner Drake, the oldest son of the Drakes, in the evening of the 12th. Fish believes it was at about 6:50 as he was pulling into the marina to get onto his boat to journey home. So, remember that 6:42 call that Jennifer Drake made? yeah, about that. They've been trying to tell everybody that Isaac Funderburg made his 911 call and it was at 7:29. Yeah. No. Up. Hey, Boston, I accidentally hit the wrong button. Go ahead and undo that. So what we have here, guys, is complete fuckerage with the order of events of what occurred. Now, let's take a look at what Eldora Gatchell says in her interview. Just a couple things that truly stick out. We got there about 6:30, and we noticed that because I made a comment in the car. 6:30, Doc, we're almost there. Random. But here, when she had set up this appointment, she said, I sent a text message the day before. That's always how we set up our appointments. Do you have any openings? He was pretty booked, so we didn't expect to get in. So I just told him, well, Monday would be fine, but it would be good if we could come in if that works. Went to the airport to pick up my niece, took our time on the way back, kind of later in the day, mid-afternoon, maybe 3 o'clock or so. I got a text message back saying, how's about 6 o'clock? End of day, going to squeeze us in. And she says, us. Going to squeeze us in. Okay. Anyway, so I said, okay, sure, we'll take it. We came back, of course. Sonia wasn't feeling so well. She stayed home, and Kakoa and I went to the appointment. And here she just says the appointment, not the appointments. We got there at 6:03, and we noticed that because I made some comment in the car. Well, this is the best part about it, is Bryan, if he was expecting to have two of you, would have put, like I said, Eldora and then Gatchell or Kakoa underneath it. That's not what happened. Bryan fills out his papers, and he only has Eldora, coming in. Then she makes it a point to say in her interview that she had noticed. So we go into our appointment. He had another patient in there. We sat there in the waiting room. It was about 10 minutes. She wants to put the blame on some big burly guy. Okay. And they're focusing on this Jacobson guy. She says, I did notice that the window shade was wide open, which to me was unusual. He usually always kind of closes the window shade, especially when it's dark. So I thought that was kind of odd, but I didn't say anything. I figured just the three of us there, no big deal. Very strange. Now, she wants to let everybody know that, hey, that window shade was open. So anybody that would be able to shoot through a window, they would have actually seen Dr. Drake. Well, it's funny because the window shade, was pulled down. Eldora. I had my appointment, and just before he had his appointment, the phone rang, and it was his wife. She's trying to say this was a 6:42 call. So he was sitting at his desk, this is his desk. The window's right behind him. Again, pointing out the fact, like leading these detectives to say, yeah, he was sitting right in front of the window, and that's how he got shot. Detective Richard Wright. He talked a little bit with his wife, then got started on Kakoa. No, he didn't. He didn't get started on Kakoa. He never worked on Kakoa. He has no record of an intake patient form for Kakoa. Hasn't done shit with Kakoa ever in his life. She says, am I missing anything? We had our appointment, okay, and then that was it. So we left after 7:15. So here we have Jennifer Drake making up this 7:17 to 7:26 call of what transpired, because we got a guy being shot before 7 p.m. And now we have Eldora Gatchell, who's saying that she was hanging out with a guy who was shot and dead for the past 15 minutes. Okay? So both of them have stories that are extending Bryan's life and them hanging out with more or less like a dead man. Am I missing anything? We had our appointment. Okay. And then that was it. So we left after 7:15. After 7:15. I got in the car. She says, got in the car. I'm sorry. Didn't notice any vehicles at that point because it was just dark out. I backed up my car because I was parked forward like this. She parked right next to the dock. So she pulls in and she pulls up just like this alongside of his car. That's the door you go in. So when you would walk out the door, you would just walk out this glass doors right here and just like literally get in your car. Nobody could see you doing that from over here, which is where the apartment was. Okay. And so I had to back my vehicle. I backed my vehicle out like this, and I was about to go this way, to go like out that way. But she says, I was parked forward like this. So I backed up my car and I could take a straight shot and just drive between the doctor's office and the coffee shop. And I halfway thought of it, except there was a big pickup truck stopped right there. And I knew the truck was on because the running lights were on, but the brake lights weren't on. Yeah, right, bitch. Who the fuck has all this stupid ass shit to say? How the fuck would this is Tina with What the Fuck Translation Services. Who the fuck believes this shit? Anyways, I noticed the truck right there, and I thought, well, even if I tried to go that way, I can't get around him to go around the building. Makes no sense. So I just turned left and went between the Far North Outfitters building and the t-shirt shop the other way, through the parking lot, and just went out that way. She knows all about the cameras. This is why. Let's see. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, we stopped at the grocery store because she needed something at the store. Speaking of her, a family member. So we were texting. So we know that we were at the grocery store at 7:28 because we have text messages. And you know why they think 7:28 is so important? Because they think that 7:26 that's Jennifer Drake saying that's when the shooting occurred. Shooting didn't occur at 7:26. Y'all are full of fucking shit. Video surveillance mixed with the witness statements, mixed with Brenda Drake calling Dwayne Fish too early. Anyways, some of the stores we texted and I was like, what do we need? That kind of thing. It wasn't until the next day in the evening, I got a call about 7:30 or so, maybe a little later. I could look at my note. I could look at my notes. What the fuck? I could look at my notes. Who the fuck has notes? Who has notes? When the cops come in, what do you have notes about? What do you have notes about? This is on March 16th. She found out on March 13th in the evening, supposedly, that this had occurred. But she's got her notes that she needs. Who the has notes? She says, I could look at my notes. Not like I could look at my phone and see what time, no. A friend of mine right there, this name, that is none other than relation to what I was telling you guys about yesterday in that murder that happened just a couple months after this one. Now, she had called me and she said, hey, have you heard about the incident in town? And now let me tell you guys something about this incident in town. They did not release Bryan Drake's name for a very long time. Nobody knew that it was Bryan Drake. In fact, the whole community was just over there not being told who it was, and everybody was just like trying to guess who it was, but no. So this whole thing that this Mary woman called and said, have you heard about this incident in town? And I said, no. She said, someone got shot. And I said, no, because I have been gone all day to the airport. Okay. You just went to the airport on Wednesday. Now on Friday, you went back to the airport and then you go to Coeur d'Alene. And she said, well, I don't want to alarm you or anything, but word's getting around that it might be Dr. Drake. word was not getting around that it was Dr. Drake. Nobody knew it was Dr. Drake. And I was just shocked. And I said, when was this? And she said, well, I think it was about 7:30. Nobody knew that Thursday night. Of course, that hit me hard because we were just there. We'd just left. The reason she called me is because she thought I might be able to find out if it was true. Now, Eldora says, meaning people she thought I could get a hold of, somebody, she understood that we got to be pretty good friends, Bryan, Drake, and I. I started seeing him early on when we first came up here as a chiropractor. Now, and I go to the kids' plays and things like that. So we kind of knew each other pretty well, him and the family. She asked me, she thought I could find out from maybe the wife or something. So I started calling. I called the cell phone number, of course, no answer. So I sent a text message, maybe that, he can't talk, blah, blah, blah. Now, Eldora says, she says that she sent a text message to Jennifer. She called Jennifer, and then she finally gets an answer back when Jennifer called, and Jennifer said, so I texted her about 10 minutes later or so. She called me, and so I picked up the phone, and I said, Jennifer, I just got this call. I need to find out, is this really happening? Is Bryan okay? And she said to me, sadly, Eldora, it's true. And I lost it. We just kind of exchanged on the phone, and she kind of described what had happened because she said she was on the phone with him when it happened. And she said, I was talking to him on the phone and he did this. Oh, I think someone shot me. And then the phone dropped and he fell. And that's what she described to me. Do you guys see how these two women are becoming each other's alibis? They're talking to a dead man. They're hanging out with a dead man. That's what's happening right here. That's what I'm uncovering. Okay. Anyways, that was essentially the exchange of the phone. And of course, I was just shocked. So she barely talked to that married woman. That's what she says. She says, I guess I called now here, this is the blow up of a blow up. And I'm going to stop it here. But she says, I guess I called the station or the sheriff's department the next morning, close to noon or so. And then Bobby Goad, shut the fuck up. I about hit the floor. Do you know who this is? This is Drake's office. This is who I was telling you whose house it is that can see. This is the guy that's on the video surveillance camera right before the fucking murder. Okay. You understand? This is the guy that I've been trying and putting in. I'm like, what is this guy doing? He turns over here. Then he's there just when I believe deemed just right in front of the murder. Because I don't believe the murder happened. I never believed it happened at 7:26. I've always believed that it happened way earlier. And I would be right. But, what I think and what I can prove are two different things. So I have to be able to prove it. So here, you got to be absolutely shitting me. You're going to tell me that Eldora fucking Gatchell and this motherfucker are tight? Now, I pull anybody and everybody that worked the case, that was responding to it, that was, dialed in, whatever. Bobby, who works for the Boundary County Sheriff's Department, he wasn't called. His name is nowhere on any dispatch. But here, she called. And then Bobby came over, which I thought that was nice for him to come over. And so we talked about that a little bit, just describing about what happened. Oh, so somebody from the department was telling you what happened? Or are you guys just getting your story straight? How is all that working out for you guys? Do you understand? When I saw this, I hit the floor. I've been looking And now I can independently, I'm starting to form this, what do you want to say? I'm connecting these people. And thanks to Eldora Gatchell, who just fucking name drops him. But this is the dude that's house is right behind Drake's, who's at the gas station, goes in there, acts like he's going to pump gas, doesn't pump gas, goes inside, is in there for a hot minute, and then comes out and then goes the back way, and it looks like he's pulling into Drake's. Well, his house is right there as well. And his son works at the glass place. You just can't make this shit up. You truly can't. So, anyways. So this was, I thought would be better for you guys to be able to understand and hear when Eldora Gatchell, because you can't really make out when she's talking. She's just like, woo, woo. But let me ask some questions just to help you out, and I'll put you on the spot. The second pickup truck. When you were leaving, you said that there was another pickup truck that was blocking your path. Can you describe that pickup truck a little bit better? She says, I thought it was the same truck, but by the time we were done with the appointment, it was dark out. But I guess my backing up and me and my headlights shining. So let me get this straight. How could your headlights shine? Like, you would have had to back up twice. Okay. If you pull in, you're parked here next to the dock. If you're going to back up like this to shine your headlights on a truck that's parked, as you're going to say, right up alongside like this, okay, you'd have to go like this. You back up, shine your headlights so that they're facing that way. Then you decide, I'm not going to go. I'm just not going to drive that way. She's like staying away from where? This, right? She's staying all the way from this. So then she would have to, with her lights shining this way, she'd have to like then decide, okay, I'm going to 3-point it again to then go this way. You see that? But listen to this description of nobody would know this shit, okay? And you can't see. Remember I was telling you guys, like, if you're, so instead of just backing up and then just going straight out the back like this, she pulls it this way and goes like this. But she says that she pauses for enough time that she has this conversation with herself. And here it is. I just figured it was the same truck because it had the same heavy duty looking truck. I can't say that it was the same truck, but it was like a F-350 work truck, light colored. That's what it looked like to me. I just looked at it and thought, oh, that's weird. That guy's just sitting there. Why would you think the guy's just sitting there versus that he's not pulling out to like go right or go left? You know what I mean? Oh, that's where he's just sitting there. I guess I'll go this way, she says to herself. I guess I'll just go this way. When you saw the truck, did you see a passenger in it or anybody out inside? I couldn't. It was too dark. I couldn't see, but I knew the truck was on. So I figured someone was just sitting there. And I apologize. I don't have a picture of overhead of that's okay. I could describe it to you. And so she wants to describe where this truck was located. Was it on the roadway in the alley? Okay. If this is, and then they say, okay, like we're going to go ahead and basically what I'm showing you here. She just demonstrates. Okay. And she says, because, these are Drake's, the windows, okay, on the side of the building and the blue doors right here. So she says that the truck is up where the blue door is, not all the way out there. Like, how would you know that if you didn't go past it? I mean, you wouldn't know how far it was. Who would know this? Who would know this? Okay. Not to be able to give this type. I mean, because when you're not expecting to look for something, you don't see something like this. But her and Jennifer just got these crazy wild stories. So she says, yeah, it was stopped right there. Not before the sidewalk or right by the sidewalk. It was at the end of this building, just beyond his window, but right in front of that blue door. Thank you, Eldora. And from your recollection, this body style matched the initial pickup style? Yeah, yeah. Did you see anybody get into that pickup truck? I did not. There was that pickup truck there when we parked and the doctor's car. Yeah. And that was the only gentleman. They're about to ask a question. She says, and the only client that was there. I just assumed it was his truck, but I did not actually see him drive off in that truck. Of course, there's no windows in there. She's trying to say there's no windows in. There's windows in the office. She's trying to say, like, well, there's just like no windows. I couldn't see if he got in and drove off. All right. Of course, there's no windows in there to see out there unless you're actually looking out the door. And it's like, and what door she's talking about is she's talking about if you're actually looking out this door, like the glass back doors. Okay. Oh, she's a trip, man. And then she says, do you remember what color? Oh, of the truck? Yeah, it was like a white, light color. Did you know if it was Washington or Montana plates? Like, what do you got over there for me? She's like, and they say be observant. How the cops would always ask that. What? Pay attention to those things, I looked at the truck, heavy duty extended mirrors, lights, but I didn't even look at the plates. By God, Eldora. You didn't write those in your notes, Eldora? Right. And any other kind of distinguishing, like the ridiculous oversized mufflers, the muffler stacks? No, I did not notice that. No, and then here, David Gatchell, there's her husband. First time he makes a peep. You said there was lights on the mirrors. Yeah, well, because when he was stopped at the end of the building, the lights were on so I could see lights, but I couldn't see brake lights. You know how many people don't know what brake lights are and they just think that you could be braking, but it's just your lights are on? Okay, if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying just the running lights or lights on the side view mirrors as well. Yeah, because I could see the whole around the truck. She's saying that she could see all around the truck. How can you see that if you're behind a truck, unless you didn't drive right next to it? If the truck is parked like this and you're shining the lights on, you're seeing the back of a vehicle. I mean, who believes this shit? This is ridiculous. Yeah, well, because he was stopped at the end of the building, the lights were so okay. Where is this? Got you. Can I interject? I think he might say something right here. Yes, so now this is Caleb Coco and Nazara. This is who the eyewitness identifies to a T. And who was with her. And he is the fake patient of Dr. Moore's that day. He never saw Dr. Moore, or not Dr. Moore, but Dr. Drake. He's not in his books. He didn't have him down. He didn't fill out a new inpatient take form, nothing. This is your fake patient that day. That is what I believe based on the evidence. There's just no evidence that he ever was his patient. And the detective says, sure, yeah, you can interject. This is Kakoa talking. I have a vision disability, but I can confirm that the truck was white because when we parked, I like trucks, and I noticed there was a... Right, yeah, normal man. So your vision disability isn't color blindness? What? He said, it depends on the... I just can't. It depends on the light. She's talking for him at so many numerous times here. The context, okay. It depends on the light. Yeah. Sometimes I get the wrong color, but I know there was enough light to know that it was white. Okay. I know. So, but he's saying it from when they first had got there. There was a white truck when you first got there. Okay. And now you're assimilating that white truck to this. Sorry, bud. That's not how it goes. I noticed at the bottom half under the door where they have a trim, it was kind of like a tan. Ta-da! Right here is the heavy-duty truck with the extended mirrors that they're referring to. This is the truck driven by none other than Paul Jacobson. Paul Jacobson being the last patient before Eldora, where Eldora describes him as a disgruntled man, and that this is the truck that was there, and that when she was leaving, she's still saying that, oh, his truck was still there. She's trying to paint this picture of this man and in his truck, and that he was still there, and that he was clearly just totally not happy. Now watch this. Okay, kind of like a two-tone truck. Again, Mr. Dr. Moore does not have a two-tone truck. And he says, yeah. Caleb says, yeah. And then Eldora says, yeah, of course. He was on the passenger side. So looking right at the truck. Now you just totally, he was looking right at the truck. What, when y'all parked and to swing in to go to Dr. Moore's, or when y'all left, that he got that good look at the truck that's sitting down there? Do y'all hear this? Like they're contradicting themselves, because this truck wasn't there when y'all arrived. So when you arrived, then yeah, you would have drove right by it. Okay. They're saying that the guy in the truck parked over here. So when you came in and you parked right up by, right here. I mean, that's a good, this isn't like you right up on it. Like it just, they're just all woo. Yeah, of course, he was the passenger, so looking right at that truck. I didn't pay attention to that part of it. Did it have any marks or no, I didn't notice any marks. Most guys, you kind of look and you go, it's a Ford. Even if you don't see that, the body style. Like who? This is Idaho State Police, and y'all are on the Bryan Kohlberger case, and y'all suck some serious wank. So that's just that simple. This is just ridiculous. So I kind of was like, that's a Ford. That's a Ford? Okay. Just no other cars. Right, yeah. Let's go back to when you're entering and a gentleman is leaving who you've never interacted with. Can you describe a little bit more about that? He looked like his size. Yeah, he was a big guy. I would say he's at least 6 feet tall. No, taller, says Caleb, I think. Eldora says, yeah, that tall, probably taller. But he was wearing kind of a bluish gray t-shirt, baggy t-shirt, very large, because he had a huge gut. But he was a big guy. Like I said, I'd never seen him before, but people come out of the office when I'm waiting. I say hi. I say hi to people. And the detective, yes, ma'am. And then he just kind of glanced at him because he was sitting off against the wall close to the office. And I was sitting against the far wall toward the parking lot, toward the parking, because I was going to videotape him singing the song for Bryan. And so he walks out and glances, and then I say hi, and he just looks at me and then opens the door. And just before he shuts the door, I start to video so you can hear the door go clink. Right. But he was just a really big guy, a Caucasian guy. The t-shirt, it looked like kind of like a Carhartt t-shirt. Jeans. Look at this. They're trying to set this motherfucker up. I would say my granddaughter has another half that's about the same size. I would say about 6'5", 6'6", pretty close to 400. Maybe 450. That's a large man. I didn't think he was that big, but he was big. He was big. It could be my eyes, but he was big. But he was a big man. This is fucking ridiculous. What color hair? Did he have a shortcut? Wait. So just a little bigger than me? Sorry for the tape. That was humor. I apologize. I'm nowhere near 425. They're all joking, and this is a murder investigation. They do it all the time. ISP, Tolson, cracking jokes with Jennifer Drake too. Really fucking strange. He did have a shortcut. What color hair? He didn't have much hair if he had hair. Yeah, based on my eyes, I would say a dark brown or something like that. But I noticed he wasn't quite clean shaven. Kind of like grizzly like. Maybe salt and pepper. So some scruffy gruff? Yeah, scruffy look. But yeah, just kind of straight-faced and wouldn't think of him as a friendly person. Dr. Morrison is like 5'8". Okay. Yeah. Any other distinction, features like a teardrop tattoo or a neck tattoo? No, it was Eldora. Oh, wow. Face, hands. I don't think I noticed any tattoos. I can't say. I don't think I noticed anything else, like if he was wearing a watch or anything like that. I can't say that for sure, but he had, oh man. Look familiar? No, I'm sorry. I just suddenly. No, ma'am. I thought his hair was shorter, but that could have been. I think they show a picture of him at this point. For the record, yeah, it's a driver's license photo of Mr. Paul Allen Jacobson. To be honest with you, I couldn't see him well enough to see any scruff. I thought he was just chubby to my eyes. His hair was a little darker than that. But then that room is not very well lit in there. Yeah, and of course, based on my eyes, this is insane. Then again, so these people are basically telling them that we have horrible eyesight. Then again, this isn't like the picture was taken like last week, the detective says. This is on a file photo from it could be like your driver's license photo. Essentially, we're looking more for this won't change the eyes and the nose. And here's Eldora. Let's see. But your what? But your biologicals were pretty close. The mid 6s and 350. What? Oh, whoa. Good job on that. The mid 6s and 350. Oh, whoa. Good job on that. I just remember he was a big guy. Well, the first thing popped in my head was my son-in-law. He looks just like him. Whatever happened to lineups? No, we just show you the guy and ask you if this is him. Right. Just huge. He was just huge. Like when he opened the door and closed the door, how did he fit out of that door? Oh my God. This is insane. He was just a big guy. Right. I was trying to imagine him being on the table and going, God, how does that table handle someone that big? Eldora, damn girl. I was just imagining him on the table and Dr. Drake going to town on that ass. This is insane. Now this is good. Now this is the niece that did not go with them, but was there at the house. This is Sonia. Just as we were having conversations, what was it you were mentioning earlier about, because he was initially with the guy that you guys saw was supposed to be the last person in there. So there wasn't a plan to have anybody else after. So I said, well, maybe the guy was looking at you guys like, what are you guys doing in here or something? Let me explain something to you. You don't ask your doctor when you set up an appointment to say, oh, hey, do you have anybody after me? I'm just making sure I'm the last patient of the day. Okay. But this right here, do you guys see this is like leading these investigators? What was it that you wasn't a plan to have anybody else after you? So I said, well, maybe the guy was looking at you guys like, why are you guys, what are you guys doing here or something? That, and then the other observation that I was asking her about was I said, did you hear them talking in there? Were they having any conversation? And he said he couldn't hear just a little bit. Well, no shit, he's playing a fucking ukulele. Eldora ruling out Dr. Moore, right? This was just totally ignored in the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Dr. Moore. Okay. But none of this is true. Yes, Jacobson was there. Okay. But the only person that didn't have Paul Jacobson had a return visit scheduled for Monday. You understand that? Eldora Gatchell didn't have a return visit planned anytime. And she's lying. Or Bryan Drake is a complete, he shouldn't be practicing because this guy did not see Bryan Drake that day. No file on him. Bryan Drake didn't put him in the book to see anybody else. Okay. Caleb Kikoa Nazara conveniently got on a plane and left for Hawaii after being interviewed. Like, get out of here. Get to Hawaii. Get back. So I heard them talking. I heard the table moving as he's adjusting, but like a doctor would with a patient, it's just normal talk. There's a little bit of music going on because I was sitting right next to the door. I could hear that. So you could hear music being played, or was it because of your ukulele? He brought in a ukulele and was playing it for Dr. Drake and saying prayers over him. Okay. Even if it was a freebie, he still puts on it the name and free. You still have to fill out a form. You know what I mean? It's just I have all of his, it's how he did it. I have all of the stuff. And how I know that at the end of his session with Eldora, he asked, how are you paying for this? Because he wrote over it the $250 mark. And he's not going to get to that point until he's done with, if he was going to be dealing with her brother, then, hey, am I adding him onto this? Do you want me to be adding him? This is just 101 common sense. But you have the book. He's not in it. He does not have a new patient. And this guy was never seen. But this is what extended to say, oh, yeah, we were there until this time. And then here you're going to say that he was talking this way. We're going to have Jennifer Drake, her alibi that she was on the phone with him. No. Jennifer Drake's phone call with Bryan Drake does not ping on this cell tower. I went through for the whole time. Every call, as you could see. See the dates. So beginning at 7 o'clock, this is every Verizon call, the Verizon tower. They were Verizon subscribers. Every call, every outgoing number to from every incoming, whoever, or not to say, whoever made a call. So Bryan Drake, when he would have called at 7:17, let's take a look at it. 7:17. See that right there? There's only one call that originated at 1917 hours. And it lasted for 116 seconds. Okay. And when you go and you take your little line and you go all the way over and you go and you take a look at what numbers they were. See that? Ooh, 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 ooh. Start getting fancy. And yeah. And then when you want to talk about the 911 call that allegedly Isaac Funderburg made, no, we're on this motherfucker. It's because he made it before 7 o'clock, y'all. He made his phone call before 7 o'clock. Isaac Funderburg made his phone call before 7 o'clock. And these towers that they went and got their search warrant for was from 7 to 8. Fuck with the best. I'm gonna bring it. Let's get back to this humor, though. I'm really looking forward to this part right here. Okay, so no agitation between Dr. Drake and the last gentleman or any of that. No. Eldora says, no. But when that guy walked out, that guy opened the door and walked out, and Dr. Drake just sat at his table which was different. He sees the patients off. So did he walk you and your brother out to the car? Did he walk you guys right to the door? So you really didn't have to lure him because he's normally just like, yeah, here, I'll walk you out. Okay, well, have a good day kind of a thing. So it was very different. This guy just walked out and he went and sat down and does his notes after each patient like he always does, which is when he started playing the music. But that was different too. You guys see that? Eldora, you're just giving me like just bones, baby. You're just giving me the bones, giving me the goods. Because she's exactly right. He sits down there and he writes that they paid with cash to him or the card, and that did he have to run the card. And so if she says that this happens, then where is any of the records for Caleb Kakoa Nazara, the fake patient? Eldora Gatchell and they said they left just a little bit after 7:15. Bryan Drake, by all accounts, from everything that I've done and I've been showing with receipts, Bryan Drake was already shot. Bryan Drake was already goner. Right. But no obvious signs of hostility or aggression. No, just that guy just had no reaction to a friendly hello. So sorry, Eldora. Caleb is the Hawaiian guy. Yes, he's the description that is given. Right. And do you have that video? Oh, I do. Yeah. Okay. If I can get that sent to my work phone. And is it Kakoa? Is that your full name or what? You know? And I just talk about stupid shit. Here we go. Caleb. No, I noticed the same thing. The truck, I didn't think anything. I noticed the guy wasn't friendly when he was walking out, but didn't really say anything. Maybe he was just having a bad day. I did notice that the shades, the way it was, you could see in. What? Again, why are you saying this? Because the shades were pulled down. You know what I mean? But they're emphasizing that somebody could, like, they're emphasizing the whole shooting through. Let me put it to you this way. Why are they even talking about the shades in the window? They shouldn't have any idea how Mr. Drake allegedly was killed. But they're trying to push the narrative of Jennifer Drake's, oh, well, yeah, Jennifer said it. He was shot through the window. And then Eldora says, oh, easily. You could see in the shades. That was uncomfortable. Now, when you were backing out, did you happen to observe that as well, or did you just see the truck? Yeah, I didn't see the truck. Like she said, waiting because I wasn't, and then he catches himself, because I wasn't in the car, he was about to say. Buddy, look at that. Yeah, I didn't see the truck, like she said, waiting because I wasn't, you see that? Because I wasn't in the car yet. But he caught himself, he says. But I, like I said, waiting because I wasn't, that's a little bit far for me at that time of night. So I didn't even notice anything. Okay, and we can do that after the interview. I'll get it from you. They're talking about the film. And then here, this guy cannot finish the sentence to save his life. She says, oh, okay, I just need to see, and he was about to say, I just need to see the timestamp, okay? But doesn't get it out. I wouldn't mind taking a look at it just to see if by chance there's something. Is it very long or just, it's 1 minute and 40 seconds. So it's not very long. Do you want me to play it? Do you want me to play it? Let's just play the fucker. And then sure. Okay. Let's see if we can see if Dr. Drake, look at this woman, doesn't finish the sentence. Let's see if we can see if Dr. Drake what? Yeah, play the video, play the audio. These people are just, yeah, the guy walked out, left the door like that, and he went and sat at his table. So I just asked him to up the music now. You can play it for him. So then Caleb is like, then lovely singing voice, says Detective Richard Alderson. Great. Yeah, if you're able to forward that to Richard's phone, it's probably going to take a while. I can't imagine there's very good cell. What? She said, this is coming from a different number. This is, and then stop saying what the number was, you dirty dogs. So Eldora Gatchell, how many phones do you have? Do you have an Apple? I do. Can I just airdrop it? You can airdrop it, right? You can just magic. Yeah, that would be better. And again, we'll do it after this interview. We don't need to take up time doing that. His demeanor as he comes out and listens, and then you dealt with him, did it strike you differently than it normally is with Dr. Drake, his demeanor? Eldora says, Dr. Drake's demeanor? Yeah, you have mentioned that he didn't come and see off the patient during your time with him. Did you feel that Dr. Drake's demeanor was different when we were in there with him? I'm sorry. Than the normal of all the times that you've dealt with him? Was his demeanor different on that night? No, let me think. And it doesn't have to be. If you notice that he was overly sad or agitated or nervous, anxious, and Kakoa, if you have any observation on that as well. And then here's Kakoa. Oh, shit. Kakoa says, before Kakoa could speak, that's the first time he met. I told you. That's the first time he met. Say it ain't so, Joe. So now I want all those haters out there to say, Alana, why didn't you think he would take it? Maybe he filled out his patient from some other time when he was there, blah, blah, blah. Well, there you go. You need a new patient form. NP. Caleb says, that's the first time I met him. To me, he didn't seem like he was. He didn't seem like he was. Only other than the way the thing was just when they first started talking, I guess, apparently before she left to her other treatment, he had surgery. And then right after she left, he broke his ankle. So he was a little bit like, I don't know. I broke my ankle. But other than that, I said, this will require a new patient intake form. So again, was Dr. Drake running a pill mill and not actually a, what was he doing there? Was he not really doing chiropractic work? You know? Eldora says, No, I guess that part of the conversation, I was just shocked. You can hear my reaction there when I saw him come out with that leg brace. What happened? Because I was gone for a month, she said. I was gone for a month. She was in Mexico. None other than Mexico. Doing what? Got you. Yeah, I was like, oh, now what? See, the last time, well, he had that spinal whatever, so he had surgery. And then when I had my last appointment prior, a month and a half ago, I told him that I was going to this clinic in Mexico. Here she comes to wreck the day in Mexico. What kind of clinic? Jesus. That I was going to this clinic in Mexico and that I would be gone for a while. What the fuck? Idaho, man, you guys are on some fucked up shit, man. If this is how interviews go, I think everybody in Idaho deserves a new trial, okay? I would be gone for a while and bring notes back. Again, here's her and her notes. Hey guys, I'm going to figure out how we can cook this meth a little better. I'm going to find out how we can, smuggle all shit better. No, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but I've just never seen anything like this. She was going to see to do holistic shit in Mexico, allegedly. And then we can kind of figure things out, that kind of thing. Where was I going with that? She wanted to know where, she caught herself. But so it's like, what, are you trying to talk Bryan Drake? And is this were you guys going to be doing some work? Is this all just a bunch of fucking lies? Again, take notes. And then here's Sonia. She wants to pop back up and lead him down the path because where was I going with that? That he broke his ankle. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. So I was asking what happened and when did this happen? And he said it happened the other day. After I saw you last, the very next day, he described how he fell down, and I thought, that is really weird. Well, guess what? I blew that up because none other than a woman by the name, and I'm going to keep her name confidential. But this woman right here said that each of her appointments with Drake took about 15 to 20 minutes. She last saw Drake on January 23rd, 2020. She texted him on March 6th or 7th asking for another appointment, but never made the appointment because Drake had been killed. When I saw him at my last appointment on January 23rd, 2020, he was wearing that knee brace thing. You can't make this shit up. His patient saying that ice slip and fall didn't happen. No, February. That happened before then because I saw Bryan. And so what do? I go check out the forums, and sure as shit, she fucking saw him. The timestamp that she said that she saw him, and that he most certainly had that rolly thing in. And then guess what ISP does? They bury it. They don't put it in the fucking report because they were trying to scam the insurance company at Sandpoint, and the guy paid him. The guy paid him $5,000 after his death. Said, just put that through. Give the money to Jennifer. Just we'll pay the $5,000. Don't even just give it to them because he was murdered. But prior to his murder, he was trying to collect insurance money for slipping and falling at Sandpoint. He didn't slip and fall in Sandpoint on February 4th, like they were saying. You understand this? You understand what we're dealing with here? We're dealing with some scam motherfucking people. These are scammers. They've been scamming away. And I can't wait to play Lacey Savage's interview when she says, Dr. Drake was slapping my ass, telling me he wanted to put me in these positions. Well, calling me Jennifer. Some whack shit. Anyways. But their marriage is just so perfect. Fuck out of here. He ran into a baseball bat attack yeah. So, and she says it right here, but she wants to bring this up. I thought it was so weird. It's really weird. Right. He's a fraud. Eldora says, because it happened, ... Look at, and then she cuts herself off. Look at this. Where is it at? Oh, right here. Because it happened, and then she like cuts herself. I don't know if this helps any, but when I heard about his leg, I thought I should pray for you. So I went and prayed for him, and when I was done, I looked at his face and I noticed that, you know, when you go into something and you're kind of stressed and the tears come, you feel good. So I noticed that that was like a relief for him. Do you understand what he is describing right there? Caleb Kakoa is describing Drake's final moments. You understand that? Take a look at that. How sick are these fuckers? Caleb was all about Bible and prayers. Well, Caleb, I'm sorry, he fits the description. He wasn't his fucking patient. This is all lies. Okay. And Jennifer Drake and that phone call never occurred on that cell phone tower. But right here, look at this statement right here. This is some sick shit. I don't know if this helps any, but I just want to tell him myself. When I heard about his leg when I was there, I thought I should pray for you. So I went and I prayed for him. Where? And when I was done praying for him, I looked at his face and I noticed that, you know, when you go into something and you're kind of stressed and the tears come, you feel good. So I noticed that was like a relief for him. I saved him. Sick. Y'all are. And then here's Idaho State Police. Idaho State Police are like, yeah, we're gonna go blame this on some guy that's over there nothing to do with this and doesn't think. Looked into the eyes of a dead man. That is a killer's talk right there. I mean, that's just, do you think that any of this is normal? Eldora says, oh, this is Detective Richard Olson. Okay. Not like, what do you mean you prayed? Where did you pray? What are you talking about? He was crying. Aren't you going to ask any questions about this? This is not off for you. This is fucking Idaho. Okay, that sounds great. Thank you. Next. And then here's Eldora. And he did express to me after we were getting ready to go, he did say to me, he goes, I really appreciate that prayer. That meant a lot to me. Is this a freaking assisted suicide by some chance? Crazy chance? Is this like an assisted suicide to collect the insurance money? And Eldora and her brother were the ones that were the, you know, the assisters here? Think about this. I really appreciate that prayer. That meant a lot to me, he said. Perhaps something was going on. I don't know, but trying not to take too much of his time. It's the end of the day. He squeezed us in after his last patient. How the fuck would you know that was going to be his last patient? Because all he wrote to her, because I have the text message, it says, how does 6 work? It doesn't say, my last patient's at 5:45. Can you come after that? No, it says 6. And guess what? He has been you go look at his stuff. He's seen patients at 7 before 7:30. So this bitch, how do you know that you were going to be his last patient? Is it because he was dead? So nobody else could be seen? I mean, come on. This is just, and then here's Idaho State Police. So when you want to talk about Lana, why are you covering this case? Well, because Dr. Moore did not kill Dr. Drake. And I think that Bryan Drake deserves justice. And I think that there's all these people are lying. And it's like, why are they lying? I don't know. But either ISP is inept or somebody is involved in law enforcement, because this cannot be what our taxpayers' dollars go towards. Idaho, I mean, this is what you're paying for. So I don't know how, that's just crazy. It's wild. You know, maybe they thought that the life insurance policy wouldn't pay off if Bryan just offed himself, so they had to do it this way, you know. But come to find out, yeah, there are insurance policies. So maybe that just wasn't in their policy. Now, right. Obviously, you have known Dr. Drake for how long? How many years? Oh, since 2014. Okay, so quite a while. 5 years or so. Have you lived here this whole time? Mm-hmm. Are you pretty familiar with the people in Bonners Ferry? And I am. I know a lot of his patients. Okay, is there anything about his lifestyle or anything he's done that would warrant the kind of reaction for someone to want to murder him? Oh, God, no. God, no. We're just lying about everything today, though. Like, God, no. Drug use, infidelity, no. Extortion. Extortion? Man, I cannot imagine. To me, he seems more like a person that's kind of just a really good, pure heart. In some ways, too trusting, maybe. Exactly, too trusting because he trusts your ass and then he just offed his ass. In some ways, too trusting, maybe, but very nice. I don't feel that. Like, what? Why did you extortion? No, like, what? They're extorting him. I don't like extortion. What are you talking about? His back was full of leaves. His back was full of leaves. Yes. Okay. They lured him outside. Okay. Or he walked his patients out, Extortion. She says, okay, are you aware of any of the other people that share the building with Dr. Drake? I didn't, but the gal that called me mentioned something about the office next door that somebody might have been pissed about that guy. I don't know anything about that, but she seemed to. She mentioned something about somebody there that along those lines. Right. Anything else in terms of somebody you think we should talk to? Any other strand of evidence you think we should be looking at? Obviously, we're going to try and figure out which vehicle was there. We'll look at some cameras, see if we can narrow down anything that was in that area. And we're going to be talking to the patient list completely. But anybody else, why are you telling them what the fuck you were about to go and do? Any kind of hostile interaction you see or heard, blah, blah, blah. No, not with him. Gosh, everybody just loves him. Eldora Gatchell. Here we go. Right. I remember the first day I met him. Dear diary. Dear diary. I remember the first day I met him. There were probably 3 or 4 Mennonite men. One of them, I think, owns the Sharon store north. They were all in there just talking, and you could tell they were all getting along really well. And they really liked this guy. Word got around pretty quickly about him. Not anything weird or odd, but he would talk about how when he decided to open up a clinic up here, that he thought it was really quite amazing because Bonners Ferry was a town that just welcomed him so well. And he said, of all of he has the other 2 practices, right? One in Sandpoint and one in Hayden. And he said of all of the 3 places, this place was so easy for him. He said, I didn't even really have to try. The people were so good. Things just kind of flowed. He really loved having this office up here. So no indication of anything odd with people. It's okay to cry, ma'am. It's okay. Because she starts getting choked up. And then here's the knees piping in. I heard it too. It's just kind of odd thing. So she's just going to share a conversation. Wait, what? I heard it too. It's just kind of an odd thing. So she's just going to share a conversation. I think she's just trying to pipe her up for this part. When I got the call from Jennifer, I guess I was kind of puzzled by that conversation because I was so distraught by the call and she seemed to be comforting me. And I guess I didn't, when I was asking her, is this true? She said, sadly, yes, it's true. And I thought, man, if I were you, I would just be like me. And then the niece says, I wouldn't even be able to get off the floor. I told her too because I could hear her on the phone. I was sitting right next to her when she was on the phone, so I could hear Jennifer. They're going to talk shit about Jennifer. Eldora says, if you're asking me what I think is odd, I thought it was odd. I hate to say that, but I just thought that was odd. What a shit show. Have you had much interaction with Miss Drake? Look at that. What? A few times. Not a whole lot. Like I said, I'd gone to the kids' place down in Coeur d'Alene. To the kids' plays, I think she wanted to say. I went to another one out in Spokane. They've come up to the Mennonite sale, so I kind of got to know the kids then. I had them over one day when they came and visited me for a little bit, so we got to get to know each other then. I pet sat his old dog, an old lab, for I don't know, 5 days or so when they went on vacation. But yeah, I was always invited to go down and have dinner, but I never did go. I just never did go. Now, this is what, according to Jennifer Drake, it's not true at all. She was never invited. Right. But yeah, the kids were really precious, and I love kids. Yeah. Is there anything odd about it besides just the way she said it? Was the tone it was delivered, like the lack of empathy, the lack of, I guess, yeah, I don't know. How do you say she wasn't? And then here her knees just like goes to town. Her tone, just in my observation, this is Sonia. When I was hearing it and I was comforting her because she was crying and she's like, oh, it's her. And so she picked up and I was telling her, I said, you might want to just text her because I've lost my parents and everything. And I said, the last thing I want to do is get on the phone and talk to somebody after your loved one dies because you just can't even get words out to try to talk about the incident. She was like, oh, she's calling. So I was like comforting her, sitting next to her so I could hear her talking. And what she had said was what I heard, how it just kind of came across that way. And I was like, I was just kind of, I don't know anybody. So I was kind of like, it's kind of interesting. Wow. She's pretty much holding it together. I would have not been able to say much. And she was just relaying her sympathy. And if you needed anything at all with the kids, anything, just please let me know. And I can't believe I'm just so sorry. And she's like, yeah, yeah. Eldora says, but it's okay. He loved you a lot. He loved you a lot. I'd never met any of them. So I'm just thinking, this seems like odd to me, but I didn't say anything. And until a day passed and when we were all kind of, I didn't want to imply anything. And I'm like, I don't know. I just thought that it was a little odd. This is Eldora. She's a strong person. She's a pretty tough person, very smart, very organized. How would you know anything like this about her? Very bright woman, good mom. She's talking about Jennifer. Now she pipes in to say like she doesn't really know her. And then the niece says, yeah, I didn't want to make any assumptions since I didn't know anyone, but I just thought for me, Eldora says. But she did say she was on the phone with him when it happened. She had called when we were there. We weren't supposed to be there. And she had called. So he was talking to her on the phone at his desk because his 2 phones sat on the desk. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Get the fuck out. This is insanity right here. When you break this down. Jeez. One's the work and one is the personal number. I guess which is the number she I guess which is the number she calls on. I'm guessing. And so I did say to her, I said, I can't believe it. I said, I just saw him. I just left the office. I was right there. And she said, that was you at the office? I said, yes. Because she was on the phone, so she heard us chatting while she was talking to Bryan. But when I talked to her, she said that his reaction and then the phone dropping, she described it to me. So then I thought, well, they called each other after we left. So she was on the phone again the second time. And anyway, she just described that to me. Do you see what the fuck she just did there? She just alibied herself. Like, well, you know that we didn't kill him because he was alive when they must have called each other back. Oh, God. But no sound of gunshot or anything. You see that? But no sound of gunshot or anything. Yeah, she didn't say she heard a gunshot or anything. She just said, oh, I was talking to him and he just went, oh, I think someone shot me, and then dropped the phone and he fell. And so she called 911 right away. That felt horrible to tell. We're looking for all the details. And again, part of a witness is your perception. It is what it is. Ready for this? Does Jennifer know that there's a video? Ready? No, I did not talk about anything. She wanted to talk with whoever first before that's why I didn't even want to talk to my lady friends that were calling. No, she doesn't know. That's not what Jennifer says in her interview. Oh, shit. Wait for it. Okay. Anything else before we stop the tape? Anything you can think of? Can I say something, David, Eldora's husband? Okay. And I wasn't there, but when they described the previous client, it just kind of speaks to the demeanor of the previous client when they described him. I was thinking of the man in the photo, aware of them, not acquainted with. You guys remember I said, did he have a beard? Yeah, I remember, says Caleb. Because he had kind of lighter hair because their description. I don't really know that guy, but I think that's the guy that I see. I'm a logger and I see him at the fuel pumps all the time, and he always is unfriendly. I'm just saying, if it's the guy, it's not an abnormal way for him. Yeah, I don't know him well. It's just somebody, I don't know. I just see him at the pumps when I go fuel up my truck. Okay, do you know who he works for, sir? No. But he has a logger? Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's anything else that you can think of, there you go. Well, if there's anything else that you can think of, I'll just remind you, and unfortunately I have run out of cards. Detective Leslie will give her card. If something comes up, no matter how small you think it is or odd, every little piece of the puzzle helps put it together. And so we're always appreciative. We thank you for your willingness to come and talk to us. And with that, we will stop the tape. By my watch, it's 21:15. Well, Well, Eldora and Jennifer were talking to a dead man, by all accounts. And once again, I want you to hear this right here.
About him in particular that made that instance suspicious.
Well, after I heard the gunshot, and he was like jogging like a little bit faster than jogging like out of the bushes from behind the building, and to me that doesn't seem right because nobody ever walks behind there and nobody runs out from behind a building. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just. And then he didn't say anything. Was that you? He didn't even acknowledge that there was a gunshot or anything.
Right.
Like, you know, people would be scared and be like, what's going on? They wouldn't run. They would
Right.
just stand still.
And how
So this is the guy that's coming out of like being by where the leaves and the brush and everything, by where Dr. Drake, I believe the evidence on the back of him is going to prove that that's where he was and then moved into that office.
soon after the gunshot from the time when you saw him?
Probably about 10, 20 seconds,
Okay.
maybe, because I ran outside.
And no, you didn't see anybody else?
No, maybe it was from when my fiance got back from the store, I believe. He's asked, there's this gentleman that was just walking down the street, but I don't think he's anything to do with it. But he said he didn't even hear the gunshots.
Okay. And he was walking down the street?
He was just walking down.
The reason he didn't hear the gunshots is because the gunshots happened 30 minutes before. And that's Stephen Hartman. He's on the video surveillance at 7:35, 7:34. But he stopped to talk to Isaac Funderburg, and you have to give that some time. So when you go back, it's actually, it literally lines up to a T that this homicide occurred between 6:42 p.m. and 6:56 p.m.
The sidewalk next to our building.
Okay. About how long after the actual shot?
Half an hour, maybe.
Okay.
It was when all the cops were going in between buildings and looking and stuff.
Okay. And he just asked him that because he just
He just
happened to
said, "Did you hear that?" And he I think he had earbuds in. He
Okay.
so I, you know.
Right. So then, after your husband, you let the dogs out. The husband.
He literally took his car and tried to find him and take a picture of him
Okay. And
in case he was suspicious.
Okay.
Or something.
and what are you doing? What are you doing during this time?
I was going back to cooking hamburgers.
Yummy.
Yeah.
And then your husband comes, or excuse me, your fiance comes back.
Yeah.
And any other interactions with the cop? Any other suspicious?
After he came back from the store, no, it was while he was at the store, the police officer drove up to me and was like, "Hey, were you the one that called?" I was like, "No, that was my fiance." And I told him the story and what we'd seen and everything. And he was like, "Okay." And then he had a call from somebody else, one of the other cops, that he had to go. So,
Right.
and then they came back a couple other times. And so we told our story. And then Mr. Watson, I believe it's the sheriff, he came into my house after they had him over there, he's
Sure.
still over there.
Sheriff Kramer or Deputy Watson?
I don't know. I know his
Sheriff
I didn't
Kramer.
catch his name. He was wearing green.
And you know what's crazy is that these are the officers that have known since day one the real timeline. But guess what? The real timeline exposes Jennifer Drake and exposes Eldora Gatchell and exposes their involvement with none other than, I believe, this man. Again, this is my opinion. I have a right to my opinion. And my opinion comes from a hell of a lot of fucking hours of investigating this case, to the point of I have inconsistencies, clashing stuff with actual video evidence that proves that this shooting, this killing happened way before 7:29. And I don't believe that Isaac Funderburg's call was at 7:29. In fact, the cell phone towers proved that Isaac Funderburg did not call 911 at 7:29. The cell phone towers proved that Jennifer Drake and Bryan Drake did not talk to each other for that long, 9 minutes and 15 seconds on the towers. So where was Bryan Drake's cell phone at that time? And like I said, it's and then you put in Dwayne Fish talking to Brenner Drake at none other than see this stuff right here. Remember I said look at Isaac Funderburg, look at where he's making his loop around. Look what time that is when he went to go look. 1843 hours. See that? That's his car. 1843 hours. You know what time that is? That's right after the phone call with Jennifer Drake at 6:42 and some change. So again, all my shit comes from just fucking money. This is, and then I got the same type of picture with, let's see. Oh, there's to prove that that's Isaac Funderburg in his vehicle. Okay. That's the same thing with his German Shepherd dogs. Another picture to show that this is Isaac Funderburg with that vehicle and driving that vehicle. And so like Isaac Funderburg and the rest of these people have never heard these reports. So they just told the police what they saw, what they heard. Then the police just took it and put it on a timeline and made up their own shit. But all of this, what this shows that Eldora Gatchell lying, Caleb Kakoa lying, and Jennifer Drake lying. There's the Subaru, 1915 hours, and then just passing the Subaru at 1916. Look at that. They're all just making their rounds all together. Look at that. And that's the Subaru where Isaac Funderburg's parents were running that motel. And that Subaru has been known to lure people in the past when they pop the hood of it and act like they're having car troubles. That's how they lured out Brandon Hurst and murdered him. Go check it out. The guy that did it was Jacob Van Nett, and Jacob Van Nett's cell phone is pinging on the tower at that time. The perimeter. I don't know what fucking perimeter they put up, but here's this. There's the dog walkers. Okay. This is the shade. This is the blinds. Those blinds open or closed. This is from body cam footage. See that timestamp? 1900 hours and 36 seconds. So either these body cams are what you would call not pushed forward because of daylight saving time, or how could you be taking pictures and in there at 7 and 36 seconds if the man wasn't allegedly dead yet? But that's the window. I mean, I just don't know who they think they're fucking with, but they ain't fucking with me. I wouldn't live in Idaho. I'd be moving. My tax paying money would not go to anything to do with this. There you go. That's funny. All right, guys. Again, there is no bullet that came through here and killed Dr. Drake. You guys are going to see it straight from the experts that prove that Dr. Drake couldn't have been killed with that window and the bullet hitting him the way they said. None of that happened. And in fact, the shards on the stool wouldn't be there, because if you're sitting on a stool and you're getting hit in the glass or whatever, that stool would be almost like cleared of any type of like I guess you could say the debris coming at you. But none of that's on there. In fact, the stool is covered with the little crystals, and that's not going to be the case if you're sitting in the stool, you dipshits. Don't even get me started on other things about the crime scene. The fact that there is a chance that somebody was holding the door so that Dr. Drake couldn't get out of his office to save himself, due to the damage that was on the inside of the door. And this is why they had to kick in the door and to cover up that. So there is evidence that somebody from the inside was trying to get out. Because I said to myself, why wouldn't Dr. Drake, if he got hit and he had time to make a phone call 911, right? Well, not if you didn't have your phone. Eldora seemed to know right where those phones were. They were just sitting there. So what are they going to do? We're both going to walk into that. I'm going to go grab his phones. You're going to pull the gun. You're going to get him out. You know what I mean? Bryan Drake couldn't call 911 from his phone after he was shot. He bled out. No leaves on the stool. Nope, nothing like that. So it's all going to come out. It's all going to come out. And what's sick about it is that the police covered this all up. And so you have to ask yourself, remember this whole time we said, do we think that the police are covering for Jennifer Drake? Or do we think the police, well, now that I just have, and I read it to you, Eldora Gatchell had a visit from none other than Bobby Goad. Bobby Goad's the officer that pulled right into his house and had a straight view into Drake's, so why is this guy visiting and you guys are talking about the case? So why does Dr. Drake have a broken leg? Well, because you owe us money and you didn't give us the money. And so fuck you, you're out. I mean, this is a classic simple. So what do I know? Maybe I know that Jennifer Drake has a phone call that allegedly took place from 7/17. The two phones are connecting to each other, but that doesn't mean that Bryan Drake was on the opposite end of it. It could be the person that was talking to Jennifer saying, we just fucking killed your husband. If you say a fucking word, we're coming for you and your kids. So I have no idea, but I just know that Bryan Drake and Jennifer Drake did not talk from 7/17 to 7/26. He was already shot. He was already dead. And the evidence shows it. Much love. See you on the flip side. What do you guys got for me? Make yourself known in the comment section. Please share the fuck out of this video. All of you people in Idaho, I know you guys know Bryan Drake. If you say that you give a shit about him and you really truly want, get this shit done, man. It's right there. Like he had some, like if he was a really good guy and you all say that all these great things about him, well, bring it to light. Why does Brenner Drake think that his dad was shot in the leg at 6:50? His dad wasn't shot until 7:26. Oh, another fuck up. You get what I'm saying? So and now the question is just, I know who the liars are. I know now the question is are you lying because somebody lied to you? So you're just like repeating something. So it's not really like I'm lying. That's what I was told. You know what I mean? And all it takes is gathering a couple of different people's cell phones and taking a look and double checking something. But if the 6:50 is in fact accurate, what it's in a police report, wouldn't you, if you were the police officer, say, wait, what do you mean 6:50? That's what time Brenner called you? 6:50 and said his dad was shot? Wouldn't you, as a fucking investigator, say, wait a second, what we need to get your phone records. We got to see what time that phone call was. Because right there, that blows up your narrative, Jennifer Drake's, Eldora Gatchell's. If at 6:50 Brenner Drake is calling and notifying a guy in Coeur d'Alene that his dad was shot at 6:50, how could that be? Unless he was truly shot at 6:50. It's all coming together, and you guys are just witnessing in real time. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
See you soon. 4 people that were murdered, and you want to fuck around. You got